Hi everyone, welcome to Tint OS by tintstech.com. Now this is a quick tutorial to teach you how to use the app because a lot of people are wondering, what do I do, why is this useful, and this is a way of me explaining what to do. Now this right here is basically what you see when you first get here. It's a lot of showmanship to make you try to stick around. I don't know if it does that, it probably does the opposite, so if you have any suggestions, always let me know. Now in the menu and options, there's clear screen. You're going to want this button a lot. Gets rid of everything. So at the bottom we have the mode, which is select, edit, copy, delete, lock, and attach. And then next to the mode is the voice functionality button. You click it, you say stuff, it happens. There's a more of an explanation on that in the documents. And then over here we have the menu button. Now we just looked at the menu button a little bit. Now on any menu, at the top there's a green, blue, and red button. Now that is to make copies, to attach it, to transfer it to something else, and to close it. Now below that you have select, actions, make, script, style, load, save, and options. Select is different options for selecting stuff that's there on the page. There's actions that help you do exactly what mode does, but to anything selected. Make, to make anything, and when I say make anything in this is a website essentially. So a tag is what you're making. If you make a button tag, or if you make a paragraph, a P tab, or an A tab, which is an anchor, which is also used to make a link to another page, you'd be finding that in the make. Let me show you a little more. If I hit list, these are the different things that I've decided that people will probably use the most. I could be wrong. And the top ones are all, I'd say the top 7. Yeah, the top 7 are ones that I've made custom. Room, desk, tab, folder, paper, glass, import. I have made those custom to this app, and essentially they wouldn't be found in any other web page. WebView is actually part of Chrome apps and doesn't do anything in here. Not sure why I keep it. I think I just keep it as an Easter egg. iframe, audio, everything down from there is a normal web page. When you make these things, they show up on the screen. You can manipulate them, change their color, put them together the way you want. Anybody that understands how to, say, make a form can easily make a form and set up a web page any way they want. Now this is made as a hybrid to people who could just put things down, select them, but it's really best for somebody who knows how to write web development coding, who knows HTML, JavaScript, Cascade styling sheets. Anybody with that knowledge can do so much more in this app and can actually make use of the things that are actually there, custom by me. Like at the top where room, desk, tab, folder, paper, glass, and import. These are very important things to this app. And give me a little time, I'll tell you more about them later. Now let me get rid of that. Now back to the menu. Script and style. Those control the script and style of the objects. The script is its functionality. Things like what happens when I click it. And style controls the way it looks. What color do you want it? What color is the background? How big is the border? Do I want to add some 3D effects to it? That can be found in that menu. Load and save. I mean, do I really need to explain that? You select stuff on the page, you select it and then you save it, or you load, and when you load into what's selected. So if you want to load a photo and you have 3 things selected, it should put that photo in each one of those things. Okay, and then options. Options has a lot of options in it, and in all honesty, this isn't something that's easy to organize, so bear with me. At the top you see a T, you see a refresh, and you see an X. That's basically just control on the tab. New tab, refresh the page, close this tab. All right, clear screen, we went over that. That's how you get all the BS out of your way. Revoke URLs. A lot of the things that you load in here will be loaded into a URL, and it's a short URL, and it's a direct connection between your file system, so your hard drive on your phone, your computer, and the app. Now that's something that you initiate and it's stored there. When you go to revoke, you can actually look at the ones that you've opened. Typically you would use URLs and when you're loading, say when you're loading anything, if you pick well, given that it supports it, usually media supports URLs, and when you load it, it's a lot easier on the app. when you don't use a URL, when you load the data directly into the app, it takes up a lot of space and it slows things down incredibly. So when you can, use URLs. All right, Cast. Well, we know what that is. Most of us know that's part of Google's Chromecast option. And in all honesty, that needs a little more work. So don't bother with that unless you really want to mess with it. I record any video or audio in a video or audio, and you'll understand more about that when you mess with it. Just saying that you can record a video into an audio file and still watch it as a video in certain places. It's pretty cool. Still shots, you say you want to take pictures of any video, any canvas, things that are on the screen that would basically have an image. You can typically save that image. Info is where you get more info. Hide menus. Hide menus gets these buttons off the home page. It just sort of clears the page, makes it easier to see things, display stuff. Now, tools at the bottom is another menu. Now, in here you have run script. That's something that somebody knows. If they know JavaScript, they can easily put anything in there, run it at any given time. Or you can make it run the profile scripts, and we'll go through profiles later. Save as URL. That's to save what you've created, what you've selected as a URL, which is just a long page address. So it'll just say tintstack.com/tintos, and it'll keep going until it's finished up with all the data that you've saved into it. Share makes sense. Anything you hit, you'll share its data to, whatever other apps you want, or you can share it back into this app if you've installed this. Streams. Okay, streams look up the streams that you've selected. A lot of other apps let you set up streams. It also lets you look at the camera that you've selected. When you select the camera, you select the main camera. It's what people will see when you go into a video chat. All right, deleted is where most things go when they're deleted, depending on what it is. And, vast majority, if you deleted it and you want it back, it's in there. Resize. Okay, hold on. Yeah, it's the resize factor. So the resize factor determines where you touch anything selected to resize it. Now the right side and the bottom of each item will control how much the width and the height is. If you touch anywhere else on an item, it's just going to move it. Now that factor is just 0.08, which means the 20% on the right and the 20% at the bottom control the size. And if you want things to resize only or not resize at all, you just either lower or decrease that based on what you want. Now grid is easy. Grid selects, when you're moving stuff around, what grid it snaps to. So if you set it to a grid of 10, then when you move stuff around, it'll skip every 10 pixels. Now to add a close button, that's what that next one is. I know it might look a little confusing, but if you have something and you want a close button on it, just select it and hit that. Proportionality makes things so that they stay on the screen in the proportion that they're seeing. So if you move the screen, turn it, if it gets bigger or smaller, it'll stay proportional to what it was set as. And like with anything else, most of the stuff is activated by selecting the object and selecting the option in here. Now, next to menu is the important one. This is the one that people don't get enough out of, I don't believe. I think a lot of people overlook this pretty quick. The upside down A, which is a for all symbol in math. For all apps. It's the app symbol. Well, it's the app button in this app. Now, these are different apps. At the bottom, when it starts off with camera, microphone, template, and embed, that is actually app alternatives. Everything above that is an app that I've created for this, for the use of building stuff and sharing it with other people. Now to go through these quickly, book is just like any book. You store stuff in there by pages. You could have 100 pages, which is 100 different things stored inside that book. So you could save that book and everything that you've created inside it will still be there. Now bookmarks goes with browser. Bookmarks just open a browser based on whatever address that you give the bookmarks, and it's got a lot of other settings. All these apps have a lot of settings. But yes, it's basically a bookmark bar to open a browser. Now the brain uses Google's TensorFlow library to create a user interface to easily model machine learning, to easily model neural network algorithms, setting up the weights and everything. And it's got a really good user interface. And it uses a lot of tricks to make it creative in how it creates everything. So I can get more into that later if anybody's interested. Capture is a way of capturing your video. So if you want to look at yourself in the mirror, just hit capture, and then you can change the way you look. You can record different. It's got a lot of options to it. Chat is literally what it says. It's chat. It's a way to video chat with people online. It uses a relay server, which means you pick what your lobby name is, and anybody with that lobby name at that time, once they connect, that connection's open. So as far as privacy, as long as you're not picking a simple lobby name, and as long as you're not posting it to the world, then you shouldn't have to worry about any strangers joining your chat. You pick a chat, you pick a nice complicated name or a semi-complicated name, and you send the link to a friend. Once that connection is made, your data is off the relay server. So it's a person-to-person chat, just you and the other person once you're connected. Now console, that's for developers. That's a way of messing with the system while it's going on and figuring out stuff that's on there. So when you open it up, you can see what's going on in the background of the app. Not to mention, you can put in functions and create stuff. Like each one of these apps is a function. TintOS.Brain will open a Brain app. And like I said, that's a function. So if you're a developer, you know what that means. Database uses the internal database, the IndexedDB of the web browser, to let you store as much as you want in the database in different types of information. And that can be done visually in two different ways that I've created, and it can be done in encoding, which might be some people's favorite mode for that. But either way, it's an app dedicated to creating, maintaining databases within your phone. A game is a game. You create stuff, there's a sandbox in there, there's a handful of pre-made games, and it just gives real physics to the app itself. Anything you put in there, even a video of yourself, you can give real physics. And it's two-dimensional physics, which there will be more on 3D physics in the future. It's just a little computationally expensive to do it with objects that are in a web page. So doing what I did with that one is sort of hitting the threshold with what most phones will cooperate with. Media. Media lets you watch any video, listen to any music, look at any pictures. So Paint lets you draw, lets you create, lets you save, lets you do quite a few other things. Profile lets you set up your profile essentially, and what that means in this app is very different. It's got different things in it, and what they do is they control different tags. So the title will control the title of the page. The script and the style will control the script and the style of the page. And template will store that. Now in the future, as more people use this, it's going to have more information for your own actual profile that you want. Right now, you are not able to have your own profile. That's simply not applicable with no network of players, no network of users. So remote controls media. Anytime you press play, pause, play, control some of the finer details of the media, it can be done with the remote. Scene, you can control certain objects. So scene lets you position stuff, pick its size, set it up the way you want, and then you can select when you want it there. And then if you're smart enough with Cascade styling sheets, you can easily set it up to transition in a certain amount of seconds. So if you have stuff moving around, you can set up the transition to keep up with certain things, so that when you move to one spot to the other, you can set it to take 5 seconds so it doesn't instantly go there. But if you get real creative with Scene and you use some of the other apps or some of the other things, you can do quite a bit. And Scene was an idea that came because I created Studio. Sorry about the way I'm talking. I'm actually starting to slow down a little bit. So with Studio lets you make your own videos. It has a canvas, anything you put over it, photos, videos, the Paint app, all these different things. When you put it over the Studio, that's what it records when you set it to record. So you can look at your stream of it, you can set it to record, and you can also set what its audio is. You can set multiple audio sources, and you can essentially make your own videos through Studio pretty easily. Now there are some difficulties with it, of course, with everything there is. I mean, it took me a long time to build this app, the entire app, Tint OS. So there's a few things I need to touch back on, and working with certain things is not always easy. So Studio is going to have a lot of improvements in the future, even though it can do quite a bit already. Now the synthesizer, the synth, is for just creating music. And it's pretty simplistic at the moment. It basically, you set up a timeline, you can set up different notes and how they're played, and then there's a freestyle. But there's a lot more work that I want to do with it. It's a good app and it's fun to play with, and you can definitely get your cat and dog's attention if you set it to the right frequency. And you can record it, but in all honesty, right now, if you find any good use in it, please show me because I don't go back into it much anymore. Camera, microphone, template, and bed. Like I said, those are app alternatives. Camera and the microphone, I'm sure you know what that means. Template, any template on the screen can be used to store data as a template's supposed to do. And template's just a tag in HTML. What it does is everything inside it is marked like it's not even on the page. It's not even active, so that there's no memory dedicated to it. It just figures out what's in there, so you can go in there and you can take stuff out. Well, template will just dump that template out. It'll still stay within the template, but it'll dump whatever's in the template out on the app. And embed's embed. I mean, who doesn't know embed? You take the code from like YouTube. It says here's the embedding code. You stick it in there, and boom, it's on your screen. So, app alternative, embed. Okay, now at the top you see that little box. I'm sure most of you realize that's the full screen button. In this mode right now, when I'm recording in, it will not let me do full screen because there's certain issues. There's a lot of other things I can't do right now. But that's what it does. When you hit full screen, it full screens what's selected. If there's nothing selected, it full screens the app. And it's naturally set to have a background. So it's pitch black. If you have an OLED phone, it's gorgeous because the screen just shuts off, it seems. And if you select the profile, go to style, it gives you the option to set a color for that background. It's real easy. Cascade styling sheet, CSS is really easy to learn, to read, to work with. JavaScript is a lot more functional. It takes longer, a little tougher, but the things you can do in there, especially with the code I've written for this app, is pretty amazing. So like really quick, I'm going to take a book. I'm going to take a Paint app. Now I didn't put these on top of each other. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw some little quick images and show you about the book in Paint. I mean, most people, I'm not sure if they're going to get much use out of this, but either way, save, take this. Now I went to the options, I hit book, and then go to options, and then go to book selected. Boom. Now, look, here it is. And I can keep doing that. Just keep drawing, keep putting it there, keep taking care of business like that. Options, clear screen. Now with chat's not going to work in here. We are in a development app, and chat's not going to function the way it would in a normal internet browser. Capture's not going to work the same way either. And we can mess with game a little bit. Now with Sandbox, now what I told you about these green, blue, and red buttons really comes into play here because you can really choose how to use it. If I hit the blue button, I can easily go to Sandbox, pick as much as I want, and then hit the red X when I'm done. Or I can choose how much I want as I go. Say go to Sandbox, hit the green button for another menu, then hit ball, and then maybe hit brick. Okay. Now, as I said before, the game will give physics to anything you put in here. You can write something up, you can make a picture, throw a video in there, and just bounce it around. The physics carries on inside objects, so if I put this ball inside that box, it's going to bounce around in the box the same way it bounces around in this environment. And there's a lot of other options to it. Back to clear screen. Okay. Now moving down the list, as I was talking about with profile is very important. And then beyond that, the other stuff I'm not going to show this time. I will make more videos for it if anybody wants. But with the profile, like I said, in the future, this will carry your profile in the app. But for now, what it does is it sets up a profile of the app itself, the way it looks, the way it functions, what its name is, and any extra data that I want to store within this template that I can take out later easily by going to the options, tools, template, and or actually to the apps template. See, that's where it found the template. If I click that, anything in that template will come out. I could put buttons in there, I could put forums in there, I could put videos in there, whatever I want to put in there, and then it's out. Now with the style, like I said, Cascade styling sheets, CSS is really easy to read. So you see these portions that are right behind the brackets, well, not the brackets. Sorry, I'm tired. So either way, you see body, you see full screen backdrop, you see profile, you see star, move equal, and the move equals 1. Now, move equals 1 and move equals 0, that's selected and not selected. When the move attribute of each item essentially is going to tell you whether it's movable, whether it's not movable, whether it's a menu, whether it's part of the body, whether it's locked, and essentially that's what's going to carry off that information, and that's why it looks the way that it does when you select it. Now, simple stuff like the background of the body, say if I go up here, I could set it to whatever I want. Maybe I want red. Set. Pretty simple, right? Now, maybe you don't want to put red. Maybe you want to actually give it a few attributes of color. So you do RGB, red, green, blue. My favorite's RGBA because alpha means how transparent it is. That works out for other stuff. But say if you want red, green, blue, you want 50 red, up to 250, by the way, 90 green, and let me think, 200 blue. Set. It's a pretty cool color, right? Either way, you can mess around with it, and the Paint app will actually let you figure out some of the coordinates. There's a way of doing it, but in all honesty, I'm not going through that right now. Now, as I said, this is tintstech.com. This is an app called Tint OS, which has a lot of ambitions in growing. Now, if you like what you see, if you can make a lot with what you see, then go ahead, have some fun, and share it on the Facebook page. But until we get a lot of users, the team is not going to be able to dedicate enough time from their busy lives to complete what we really want to do with this app. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of money, and we have families to take care of. So if you like Tint OS, show it. If you show it, we'll be able to take care of you a lot better than we are now. And I know this is good what we got, but our dreams are far beyond this. This is Tint, signing off.